So dear friends, today we're happy to organize a lecture of Dr. Mунтасера al-Hamad, Associate Professor at the Arabic for Non-Native Speaker Center at the Qatar University, also the Secretary of the Faculty Senate at Qatar University. We're very grateful to Dr. al-Hamad for participating in our event today. We would also like to thank Qatar-Russia Center for helping us to organize such an interesting event. I hope we will continue to cooperate in future and organize more such brilliant lectures. In this lecture entitled Arabic, a Key in Your Pocket, Dr. al-Hamad will tell us why in the modern world we should learn Arabic, why it is really a great opportunity for everyone to enrich their knowledge and enrich their human capital, and how we can apply our knowledge of Arabic in Qatar. So Dr. Mунтасера, I'm very sorry, Dr. Mунтасера, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'm privileged to be amongst you, and I hope that you would have a good journey of questioning and trying to shed the light on few questions that we had in the content of this lecture. May I start the slides? The slides are mainly visuals to help us not to get bored by looking at the lecturer, so that would probably keep looking at me might get you bored. So I will try to use some of my tricks by using the slides. Firstly, I would like to thank IMO University and the organizers and the Middle East Center, Altium in particular. Obviously, many thanks to are paid to Marina Kapsh and the Arabic Language Center in Moscow for introducing me to you. My thanks as well are due to every single one of you who is present, and I hope that I will make a good use of your time and not to, so by the end of this, I hope that you will consider it as an investment, because we're talking as a language, we're talking about investment and economy, and you're students of economy. So for you, everything should be cashed. So your time, it should be worthwhile spending the time with me this evening. So when we looked at the, when we tried to figure a title, we figured this title, Arabic, a Key in Your Pocket. And what we meant by that, how could we turn Arabic into a tangible issue? Arabic is a language, so theoretical, something that is not tangible. So how could we turn it into a tangible matter? And firstly, I would like to say that this lecture falls into a perfect timing, as tomorrow is the, we are on the World Arabic Language Day Eve. So it's like Christmas Eve, so we're celebrating that. This is a great opportunity for celebrating that and being together. And this means a lot, and I will come to this particular celebration and considering Arabic and having a day, national day for, or international day for Arabic. It's as well the national day, Qatar National Day, the 18th of September. So we would like to congratulate Qatar and Qataris for this wonderful day, and we wish prosperity for this beautiful country. We hope that to see you all in Qatar in due course. Qatar and Russia had a lot of projects, including Qatar-Russia Year of Culture, but this was just to conclude a long time, long decades of collaboration between Qatar and Russia, and we're not into the point to discuss that, but it's to mention that Qatar will be the guest of honor in St. Petersburg International Economic Forum as well, this coming June, June 2021. So I hope that it will be a successful event, and I wish Russia to benefit from that event, because it's a very important event. I do believe that you guys are very interested in this matter, and it's part of what you do. The content of this lecture, will discuss these points that are presented in front of you. Why Arabic? Why should I learn Arabic? And why should I learn languages in general? And language as a human capital. Could language be good language? Could we translate the language into cash? Could we cash Arabic somehow? How could I cash Arabic? And Arabic in statistics in Qatar in particular, as I will cover Arabic in statistics in the world when I speak about Arabic. And the last but not least, Qatar as a case study. I will overlook that. I won't go in deep into that, because mainly I was told to concentrate on the first four sections, and I do abide to my bosses, which is one of the keys to your success in the future, to abide to your bosses' orders and decrees. As you see, I played with the font, with the colors, and I played with whether it's italic or standing upright. Mainly Arab and Arabic do have a lot of confusion in the minds of people. Even Arabs, sometimes when they speak, they refer to Arabs as Arabic people, and Arabs and Arabic culture, Arab's culture. So we will see whether there is a distinction between these two terms. Arabic language is, when we say Arabic language, we talk about Arabic language studies, Arabic linguistics, grammar, etymology. We have the literature, which is more of the cultural side. That's poetry, rhetoric, prose, story writing. That would be cached later on in cinema, in other forms, in plays and so on. Then writing, we have Arabic calligraphy, decorations, etc. So then, when I talk about Arabic, we should keep in mind that Arabic is not a language that was found in Mother Nature with no father, no mother. Arabic is one of the languages, of the Semitic languages. It's in the South Semitic languages, as you can see. Just let me borrow one of those shiny. Yes. Can you see this? Yeah, this is better, right?
Yes,
so,
sure.
Yeah. So Arabic is one of the South Semitic languages, and we have a lot of languages that are part of this. The spoken languages of the world right now of the Semitic languages are mainly Syriac, Hebrew, and we have Ethiopian as well, Ethiopic or Amharic, in addition to Arabic. But Arabic is the language that has grown faster than any other and more than any other language amongst these Semitic languages. The rest of the Semitic languages, they've died. Yes. When we talk about Arabic culture and Arabic, where we talk about cultural inputs, the inputs are religion, politics, history, media, geography, philosophy, geopolitics, etc. So all of these are factors that would affect the language we speak now and the culture because the language doesn't exist outside a cultural vessel, if you wish. So the language should live in a vessel, and that vessel is to be affected by different factors. These factors are religion, so the religion would affect the type of language we use. The politics, the superior politics would influence the inferior political countries or countries. The superior countries would influence the inferior countries. And we have dominant languages these days, like English. It's dominant just because of its political influence. History is a main factor to keep a language alive, or to facilitate fading the language out of the scene. Media. Now we are living in the age of open media, so media is a very important factor. Media helped some languages to spread, yet media affected dialects negatively. So those who love studying dialects would note that the dialects we have now are less and less common compared to some 40, 50 years ago, mainly because of the influence of the media. Media had that lingua franca amongst the languages, and the standardized type of a language. So when we aim at learning a language, we would aim at a certain form and certain standard of the language, and most people would go for the standard Arabic. I don't believe in something called modern standard Arabic. This is out of my dictionary, and this is not the time to discuss it. But I believe that there is standard Arabic. And standard Arabic, we have Fusha, which is the very pure Arabic, and Fasiha. Fasiha is the language without the case endings, and it's simplified Arabic, yet it agrees with all of the grammatical, etymological, and lexical forms of Arabic. Then why should you learn Arabic, and why should you learn languages in general? Just like any one of you, I would go to Google. Google would give me a lot of information. However, the issue with Google, I selected this, by the way, today. So, and I didn't use any magic wand to, and I wasn't so intelligent to get that. Anyone can get that. However, would that be realistic? Would that be convincing? As you see, some universities would put 25 reasons to study foreign languages, and later on I found some 50 reasons why should a person learn a new language, or 14 reasons, or 10 reasons. So do we have a fixed number? Well, I don't think so. These people, some of them, they sell a product, and that product is a language. And if the language is a product, then that's exactly what we're aiming for in our talk. So language is a product. A university department here is trying to sell a language, and another academy, private sector, trying to sell a language. And you would have third sector as well. Third sector, I mean voluntary sector, they would try to do that. And some people, because they believe it's for religious reasons, they would promote the language. So the end justifies the means. That's what Machiavelli said. I discovered recently that Machiavelli didn't, that quote is not Machiavelli's, but it's being understood out of Machiavelli's work. However, does that, obviously we have a lot of argument about this, and mainly the ethical side, but mainly what we believe in as in teaching second language. L2 means second language learning. Second language, whether it's your second, third, or fourth, or if you're polyglot person, still we call it second language. So we believe in something that we would call motive and attitude. motive and attitude, your attitude towards learning a language is mainly geared by your motive. Why did you select learning Arabic? And that would help you either to learn Arabic, or it won't help you to learn Arabic, and you would sit in a classroom and the teacher will be shooting above your head, simply because your attitude is negative, because you didn't specify your motives, you didn't have a clear goals. And as students of economy, and I believe you study management and planning, so you should have clear goals. Why do I want to learn the language? If you specify that, there is no correct answer. There is no, this is the answer. I cannot give you an answer. I will give you suggestions, but not answers. You will try to look for the answer that suits you most, simply because each one of us is a different person. I won't say different animal. Some people don't like that, but we are, each one of us is a different person. So a different person with different different dreams, different attitude towards things, and so on. So you will need to select your motive, set few goals, and try. And I believe that if your goals are clear, if your motive is clear, then your attitude to you will develop a good and positive attitude. Otherwise, you won't learn a language. So if I'm learning a language just because it's the only course I could find in this year, well, sorry, you won't learn a language. It's not because of your cognitive skills. No, it's because you didn't have the right motive. But I know a friend of mine who told me he's an Italian, so none of you is an Italian. So he told me that he managed to learn 3 languages, mainly because he was good in pen pal. Do you know pen pal? Pen pal, that's old style, archaic style of people chatting. But in the old days, people used to send letters to each other by post. Post, do you know post? I believe that you know, because we still use it in emails and so on. So they used to have pen pals, friends who would write to each other, yet they would wait for that letter to arrive and come back to them probably in 2-3 weeks if they were lucky. That guy was looking for a wife. He's an Italian, and he managed to learn Persian, Russian, and another language. I forgot what language was that, but he had a clear motive, so it helped him a lot to learn 3 languages. So it could be your motive. I don't know. You might choose that. However, there is a very smart, I would call it a smart approach to set your goals. It's a smart, and it is smart. So that smart, you will need to be specific, and you will need to have your goals measurable, and your goals should be attainable. So it's not dreamy goals that you can achieve, and they should be relevant as well. So if you set goals, these goals should be relevant to things that you like, relevant to important things in your life, and so on, and they should be time bound. So don't go over the top, and don't try to overcook it. So if you overcook it, if you try to learn Arabic within 3 weeks, sorry, I would tell you try to find another thing to learn, because learning a language within very short period is not attainable, and it's not correct if we look at it in time as time bound. So you will need to set your goals clearly and smartly, and you can use this smart approach. Arabic. By the way, I had this slide. I discovered that I have some of the slides. Like any other lecturer, I would keep checking from my old slides and steal from them and add them to another lecture and so on. But this one, normally I would go and check whether my slides are up to date or not. 10 years ago, I was at Manchester Metropolitan University, and I was asked to deliver a lecture about Arabic. So I had this slide as Arabic is the 5th most commonly spoken language in the world. Yet today I discovered that it became the 4th. French is now the 5th. And when I was in the UK, I remember that in 2015, I believe that British Council, was it British Council? No, yes, British Council. In one of their reports, they found that Arabic, Chinese, and Spanish were the growing languages. German and French were sinking. So Arabic is one of the growing languages in the world, not amongst Arabs only, but many other people love to speak Arabic. We have more than 300 million native speakers. Actually, in this diagram, it suggests 313 million. So you could be 313.0000001, and that one could be you. Arabic is the language of Islam, and as you know, Arabic is the product of Islam somehow. It's not the product of Islam because it exists before Islam. Arabic was attested first. The first inscription that Arabic was attested in was inscription of Obadas in 86 AD to 125 AD, and that was the first existence or attested existence of Arabic of the Arabic that we know today. But it wasn't in Arabic language; it was in Arabic script. Sorry, it was in Nabatean script. However, Arabic was like any other language in the world until the existence of Islam, and having the Quran revealed in Arabic. When Quran was revealed in Arabic, Muslims started to appreciate Arabic more because Arabic was the tool to learn their religion. And Arabic now is understood by Muslims throughout the world. This is an I will tell you something. This is not true. Muslims appreciate Arabic, Muslims read Arabic, but Muslims do not necessarily understand Arabic. However, there is part of their language, of their daily language and daily lexicon, something that some researchers call Allah's lexicon. Allah's lexicon, like saying Inshallah, fi amanillah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, alhamdulillah, and so on and so forth. All of this, there is a term coined in 1984, I believe, in one of the papers, saying that it's Allah's lexicon. And since then, some research and papers talked about this and discussed this point. But Arabic is the gateway to learn Islam. The gateway to learn Islam, not necessarily to become a Muslim, but to learn Islam, because Islam is a religion of some 64 countries in the world, which you would share somehow economic relations with, human relations with, social, etc., etc. In Russia, you have a lot of Muslims from Tatar origin and from other origins. So it's part of what makes you as part of the intelligentsia yourself, and making the person you would be in the future to learn about others, not necessarily to become the other, but at least to learn about the other, so you would think with your head and not to follow the stereotypical images that are thrown at you by media or by other researchers, because you will become a researcher or you will become a part of the accultured elite of the nation. So you should use this, and you do not need to sell this for regardless of how much they pay, because this is what you are. If you sell it, you're not a person anymore. You will become a tool. So there is a huge demand.
Dr. Hamad, so someone is asking us, is there a way to cut down the background sounds? Because when you speak, there is sometimes like a cracking noise at the background.
Okay. Could I use just 1 second? I have better speakers.
Okay.
I'll give them just 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
لا. تمام? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. We can hear you very well.
Yeah, you can hear me well?
Yes, yes, yes.
Is it better?
Much better, yes. Now it's great.
Better quality?
Yes.
Yeah?
Definitely
Okay.
better.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Firstly, I must thank the person who gave the feedback. So I would give that person a big thumbs up. Okay, thank you very much. Please give me feedback. Keep giving me feedback, please. Okay, because as I said, the only thing that we should not give up is this, and you will need to always to stop people and tell people what you think, because if you tell people what you think, we could turn things into better plans, because we have input of different people, different approaches, different perspectives. Okay, so getting back to the slides, I hope that you didn't sleep yet. We could give you a couple of minutes to make coffee. If you feel sleepy, just tell Artyom and he will give you a couple of minutes to make a cup of coffee. Okay, those we will talk about finding jobs related to Arabic in the world in later on when we talk about economy and cash in Arabic, but mainly talking about Arabic, we're talking about journalism, we're talking about business and industry, we're talking about education, finance and banking, translation, interpretation, consulting, foreign service, intelligence, and many others, amongst many others. So it's not only to teach is the only gateway, or we were interviewing some of the students yesterday and the day before, and many students were jumping into translation and interpretation. No, it's not the only thing that we could do with the language. We could do a lot with the language. So financial incentives for learning Arabic are huge. It's not only like any other language. We're talking, as I said, we could access some 64 Muslim countries. We could access some 23 Arab countries affiliated to the Arab League, GDP of over than $60 billion annually, and a lot of business opportunities. Qatar yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? Sorry, I lost counting days. It won organizing ASEAN of 2030. So that means some more projects in Qatar. Qatar invested a lot to develop the country, and in order to receive the World Cup 2022, and Qatar has the Qatar vision of 2030, which is very important vision. But when you have all of these projects are not only to have stadiums, they're infrastructure, they're investing in people, investing in education, opening, having even restaurants. The country, the government encourages restaurants of different flavors from different parts of the world. So it's all over in different sectors. So you could find what you would wish for by learning the language. Arabic is the language of science and civilization, and I was so lucky at certain point in my life to be part of establishing this very important project. Sometimes, well, you didn't. Okay, I keep. I will need to find my presentation, which I lost right now. However, I would tell you that.
I'm very sorry.
Never mind. T.S. Eliot actually once. I love quoting T.S. Eliot. Once T.S. Eliot said, "Expect the unexpected." So you should be always prepared for unexpected issues to happen to you. So expect the unexpected at all times and be prepared to deal with that. So if my connection drops down, you can go to YouTube and enjoy yourself by listening to some music. So that's your plan B. However, back to our presentation. This project, I was so lucky to be part of establishing this project. You can see now the presentation, Artyom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this project was about, it's called 1001 Inventions. It's to discuss the question of dark ages and exploring this vast body of knowledge that Arabs and Muslims contributed to the world as part of the fabric of the world, because Arabs and Muslims are not out of this world, they're part of this world. So each one of us would contribute, and civilization, when they work together, that's collaboration, and that's the top way of dealing with each other. We have the triple C, the conflict, collaboration, and cooperation. So it would be coexistence. Sorry, coexistence is I look at it as very, very negative way to be trying to be positive, yet you're still negative. You try to coexist with the other. However, with certain fields it works, but with different fields it doesn't work. So in keeping your beliefs, that's coexistence, which is good. But in order to build bridges, we cannot just coexist. We will need to collaborate and cooperate. So our contribution, I would strongly advise you to go to our website and look more into what we have done. It's an excellent project that we hope people would benefit from, and we're setting different role models to young Arabs, young Muslims, because what we're setting for them is to have role models as scientists, as explorers, as authors, etc. It's not only if I visited many countries in the world, and most of the countries you visit, you look, you see politicians and warriors that people would celebrate in their history, and it's not only politicians and warriors. So, well, politics, I don't know about politics. I don't want to talk about politics, but I don't believe so. However, Arabic promotes intercultural understanding, as we said, like any other language learning, it will help you to understand the other, and you will need to understand the other in order to learn the language, because culturally you will need to learn about the background of the language, the paralinguistics, the metaphors of that language, the history, the geography, the economy. You cannot speak the language because you know the lexicon or you know the grammar. That's not a language. That's not a language learning. Language learning is to know a lot more. But I have a better reason. Why not to learn any other language, and why in specific to learn Arabic? Actually, I have the answer from one of my students in 2010. My student decided to do something that he loves, and unfortunately, he ended up with a mistake. His name is Alistair, and when he had the tattoo, he had the tattoo as Al-Sitar. So how could you justify this mistake, and how on earth would he rectify this? Would he just have another cross on his arm and say? So you will need to learn Arabic if you want to have a good tattoo. You will need to learn Arabic, because that's a good way to have a good tattoo. By the way, many of my students call me from all over the world, and some of them, they're interested in having tattoos, and they ask me for a phrase in Arabic that they would have, and so on. I don't like tattoos. I love, unless if it's temporary, obviously. Okay, languages as human capital. Creating a human capital, that means that meets requirements of labor market, is a very important issue, because what the good countries and the clever countries, the countries that invest in people, and I remember some of the initiatives in the UK where they would distribute to the third sector, I mean the voluntary sector, a crest that they would put at the door of these foundations and third sector firms. Invest in people, because that's what matters. To invest in people, to invest in all other means that at certain point we will lose it. We're hearing that oil won't be the wealth of the world in 20 years. We don't know, but the human being is and will continue to be. So just to ask, does language have a role in human development, or is it just a tool? Can any language, even if it's foreign from the Arab society, contribute to human development? And is Arabic language not qualified to be a language of development and modernity? Because some Arabs believe so, by the way. I'm not telling a secret, but some Arabs, even in their daily life, they would quote from English or other languages just to show some prestige. So why would they do that? Language economy means that we can combine the economics with language science, because how could we benefit from language as using our economical background? And it contains theoretical models that utilize the concepts, and we will show some of these models. And last, it focuses on linguistic variables and not on one particular group. So it could open markets for us. There are three language economy theories that we could shed the lights on very quickly, fairly quickly. You could have them as your essays in your studies at the university, but I'm not going to discuss them because I want to use my time for other slides. So the first one is network externalities and trade model and human capital. The first one, Qatar, the average annual income of Qatar for the individual annual income is 98, almost $100,000. Compared, I checked Russia. Russia is growing fast, actually, and in 2019, I believe that it was annually, it was something around $8,000 a year, and it's growing fast. It's growing fast. However, looking at how many languages in these countries, we can see that countries that have more languages, and they have a language that they would somehow cater for, a standard language. These countries they have better annual average income compared to countries that have many languages and not having a standard language as such. So the less languages that the country have and cater for, cherish, and teach, and it's the standard, the better it would be, because people would have something in common to deal with. So obviously that's a social side, economic side, but as a linguist, I might not be interested in this. I would be interested in having more and more languages. Why? Because it gives me it gives me a better prospect and more fields to study. Then we have the economic form, or the market form, as Brand, who was the German chancellor, said, if I wanted to sell you my product, then I should learn your language. And if you wanted to sell me your product, you should learn my language. And this would sum this slide. The third one, the income, or let me tick, the human capital. The human capital that looking at the British Council as an example, British Council have an income of about $1 billion a year out of teaching language and testing and so on. So if you look at this, language pays. So I won't talk further about this point. So non-market value, non-market value, it has many tekala. There is a saying in Arabic that I have put here, many tekala zada ghayrihi tala ju'uhu. He who eats the food of others, of other people, then he would last in hunger for a longer time. So if you rely on others' food, then you will need to wait. And obviously, you will need to develop your own skills. Even in hell, well, welcome to hell, as this cartoon says. Look at the bright side of hell. What was the bright side? At least they speak English here. Well, okay, language and cultures. As we spoke about this point, so I'm not going to talk about this further. And Qatar Vision 2030, Qatar relies on knowledge as a human capital, and the knowledge as well, let me rephrase it. Qatar aims to become knowledge-based economy. So this is one of the aims of Qatar Vision 2030, and for which Qatar developed a lot of policies, and these policies were to protect Arabic language. And it started by having billboards in Arabic language, billboards and bills, and later on they had the education, the media, and so on, until we reached the Arabic language protection degree in 2019. It was a decree by His Highness the Emir of Qatar, a decree by the Emir to protect Arabic language. So now, if you wanted to learn Arabic, you have a better reason to learn Arabic now, because if you want to make money in Qatar, Arabic is part of that. So I quote Audrey Azoulay, the ex-director general of UNESCO, when she said, and I do not agree with what she said fully, for which I changed some of her words. She said, Arabic has played, and I say Arabic plays, and you can read the rest yourself. So Arabic is part of our knowledge, and it is very important to galvanize our knowledge of the other and our knowledge of the people. Now, some statistics in Qatar. This is part of a study that was made by CISRI, which is social and economic statistics, CISRI, something in at the University of Qatar. So CISRI mainly provides a lot of surveys, to look into the social life of Qatar, the economy of Qatar. And once they looked at the this point in Qatar, and the trust in various groups, how Qatari would perceive and trust others, white collar and Westerners and so on. Would that change if we learn a language? And what is and if Qataris' opinion about the important requirements to obtain a Qatari citizenship, language was one of the main things, 94%. It's been done in 2011 and redone in 2015, and the results were matching. So we trust this survey pretty much. Then Qatari's preference for nationality of their co-workers, the Qatari co-workers trust Arab nationality co-workers more than others, more than other nationalities, which is, by the way, this is something common amongst all cultures for different reasons. However, what we would love to see whether a language would make a difference or not. And overall, overall, 3/4 of the respondents strongly agree with the statement that the Qatari way of life needs to be protected against foreign influence. And foreign influence, as part of it in 2011 in particular, was not to speak Arabic. So they wanted more and more people to speak Arabic. And Qataris and other Arabs who made 35 to 40% of the whole population, they love seeing people speaking Arabic. So language context in Qatar. Qatar is a country in the Gulf, in the eastern part of the Arabian Gulf or Persian Gulf, regardless. And the population of Qatar is almost 3 million. The Qataris themselves make some 10-11% of that. This is in August 2019. Other Arabs, as I have said, make some 35 to 40% of the whole population. Yet, you might say, why should I learn Arabic then if only 35%? Well, that 35% would make more than 50 or 60% of the white collar population. White collar population, i.e. people who work as in companies, people who work in the government, people who work in business, while blue collar are people working in field work, in the construction plants and so on. So most of your interaction is with people, white collar people. So that would make more than 60% of the population, and you will need to talk to them their language. As Brand said, if you remember what Brand said, Qatar economy is fast-growing economy. Qatar economy is, as I have said, Qatar economy was growing fast until this. Can you see the time? This is 20, and then it went down 2018. Obviously, this is obvious because Qatar paid a lot of bills, including in 2017. Qatar had sanctions by 4 Arab countries, neighboring countries. If we go here, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Egypt implemented some sanctions on Qatar. So Qatar lost a lot of investment, yet Qatar managed to benefit from that strategically. However, in terms of economy, it was affected. So yet Qatari individual makes, as we have discussed, he's the best amongst the world in terms of the average annual income. Economy, we have this growing economy in Qatar that was mainly we had a lot of injections from the government when we have mega projects like the World Cup. Now we have ASEAN. Qatar is proposing to have another event, which is the Asian football finals. Qatar managed to influence the whole of the Arab world by its soft politics and soft power through media. Media is not only Al Jazeera, and it's Al Jazeera and beIN Sports these days. So Al Jazeera became the 5th brand in 2004, only 7 years after its establishment, the 5th recognized logo in the world. So that was something. That was something to become in 8 years, the 5th in 7 years, the 5th recognized, most recognized logo in the world. However, Qatari politics was by having some being intermediate between Houthis and Yemenis in the Arab Council, in Gaza Summit, in different forms in Sudan, and so on and so forth. So it became the champion of liberalization in the Arab world by mainly opening up the the scene for the other opinion in the Arab world. Arab world is more or less is under dictatorships, and many of these dictatorships are do not allow people to say their minds, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, human rights in the Arab world is not in the greatest form. We wish to have change more and more. However, Qatar played a vital role in opening up the media and the air for different opinions in the Arab world. Regardless whether people would agree or disagree with Al Jazeera, yet Al Jazeera was the spearhead for that change. And we might disagree with Al Jazeera until tomorrow, yet we cannot take that credit from Al Jazeera. And we talked about this. Al Jazeera as pan-Arab and soft power in 2011, when we had all of these Arab Spring revolutions. Well, I believe in that. When we had them, many tried to stop Al Jazeera, talking clearly about this revolution, supporting this revolution, supporting people, talking their minds. It was targeted by the Israelis, by the Americans. The Americans under Bush, they had a plan to bomb Al Jazeera HQ headquarters. Same thing with the Israelis in 2008 invasion over Gaza, 2008, 2009. It was December, January. They tried to, there were some leaks that they tried to bomb the headquarters. Yet, it's not the only one. The Qataris try to celebrate their culture, celebrate their dialect by establishing different platforms, including specific Qatari cultural media platforms, including Arayan TV or well, again, we have that again. Okay, we're about to finish. Oh, okay. So I used the wrong one. Okay, never mind. When it stopped, I used the wrong slide. So it wasn't the only one. Qatar celebrates as well the dialect. So Qatar involves the dialect in every slogan they have for the National Day, mainly quoting from the founder Sheikh of Qatar. So this year's slogan is "Nahmaduka ya Dhal Arsh." We thank you, O Your Majesty, Majesty God, the God of the throne. Other years we had different slogans. Qatar encourages, yet through the different policies that we have seen, Qatar encourages cultural events, whether in Qatar, to celebrate the history and the culture of the society from fading away because of the influence of the 90% of the population are non-Qataris. So so Qatar wants to protect that by having a lot of events. So every week you have a different event in Qatar, whether Al-Mahamil, as example, that we had a week ago, celebrating the trip, the sea trip in the past, or falconeering, or you would have camel races and different events. Almost you would have, and I'm not exaggerating, every week you would have a different event that you would go for. So you cannot get bored if you are in Qatar, and we welcome you all in Qatar, and I wish you a very happy and nice evening. I finished within an hour. Artyom, and I pass it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Hamad, for such an interesting lecture. It was really a pleasure to listen to your speech, and I think everyone learned a lot from your brilliant presentation especially about setting your goals and really making sense of learning the language. And so we have some questions from our participants. First, there are a lot of questions from Anna. I think she's really passionate about, she seems to be really passionate about learning Arabic. So I know you told that modern standard Arabic is like, you don't like this term, but anyway, Anna asks, would you please recommend, is it preferable to learn modern standard Arabic or the dialect of the country one is going to work or study in? So, or are both necessary, or we can generally confine to MSA, for example?
Thank you, Amna, for this question. Actually, when I said modern standard Arabic, as a linguist, I don't believe that there is any need for the word modern, because Arabic language syntactically and even syntactically, etymologically, didn't change. So why should we have different category of Arabic language? Lexicon, in terms of lexicon, so doctors speak a certain language, while lawyers speak a different lexicon, or say different vocabulary, use different terms and vocabulary. That's why I don't believe, otherwise we would have 100 different Arabic languages and 100 different language of every language. Just simply because if I use the word as example, madda, the word madda, item. If I use madda in chemistry, it means the chemical item or chemical. As example, oxygen is an item, is madda. Hydrogen is a madda. Madda in legal terms, madda is an article in the legal papers, article. And madda in schools, madda is a subject. So and so on and so forth. We cannot have different 100 different languages just because we're saying modern standard Arabic. This is nonsense, in my opinion. Now back to your other question: whether should I learn Arabic, standard Arabic first, or should I speak a dialect? And is it good to learn a dialect? Would there be any benefit of learning modern standard Arabic, as they call it, modern standard Arabic, or should I go for a dialect because people in the street speak dialect? Well, my opinion, and I could be a very radical person and backwards person, I don't know, but who drives here? Those who drive, please click hands up. Come on, I can't see hands up.
You mean who have a driving license?
Yeah, no, who drives?
Drives
yes.
a car.
Only one person, only Muhammad. Okay, we have two, Rustum as well. Only 2%, 3, 4. Okay, Emil, that's good. We have some drivers. However, now you drive as well, Farhad. Now, if you go first and learn how to drive, and you drive, Artyom?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Do
yes,
you drive manual or automatic?
I drive automatic. Yes.
Can you drive manual?
Well, if I have some practice, I think
you don't. So you don't know how. Well,
theoretically, I know.
Theoretically, no. Okay. Do you think that? Do you know Schumacher?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Do you think that Schumacher would drive automatic car?
Well, in the track, I think no.
No, because if you want to enjoy driving, you will need to hear the car roaring. Then you apply it, and it's faster. You can play with it. It's part of you. Yes, it needs more skills and it needs all of your attention while driving. It's easier for people who want to cross corners to go for automatic cars. I don't belittle you, Artyom. That's good. It's practical because you have practical mind. You're a guy who study economics. You don't want to waste your time. But normally, in my opinion, standard Arabic is like a manual gear. Manual gear, it requires a lot more skills. It requires to do more. Yet Yet, after you master it, you can drive manual or automatic, but you cannot do it vice versa. It's not easy to do it vice versa. Being in standard Arabic, especially Arabic of today is more or less is being somehow those bits and pieces that makes it sound different, dialectical accent were faded away because of the education, because of media. So more or less we have some pan-Arab Arabic of the media. That white Arabic or white language, if you learn it, if you learn the modified Arabic, then you are in a middle ground where you can step in Omani Arabic or step in Egyptian Arabic or step in Levantine Arabic or other forms of Arabic. It would be easier for you. But if you learn one of those dialects are the product of their geographical and historical vessel, as I have said. So if I say Levantine is being influenced by Aramaic, Syriac, Thamudic, etc., languages that existed in that region, and therefore, and geographically, we didn't have a lot of influence from outside. Egypt, it has different dialects, so each one of us have some limitation. If you go for standard Arabic, I don't recommend to learners to perfect their language. I would suggest to you to concentrate on your fluency and not accuracy. So as much as you can speak, make mistakes. Only did people don't make mistakes. Make all mistakes in the world, okay? You still have time. If you do not make mistakes, you will never learn. And would people laugh at me? So what? You're making an effort to learn their language. So you are doing something good to them. You're respecting them. You're offering your time, your brain to them and to their culture. So they should appreciate what you're doing. So in my opinion, speak. Do not fear. Myself, I went through this when I started learning English, and at the beginning I was shy in speaking in front of other Arabs in particular, because they speak Arabic and English, so they can pick on me more. But later on I said, why should I bother? I won't learn ever if I would pay attention to them. And I know other people who were better than me and better than many others never learned, simply because they're scared to speak. If you're scared of people, you can't live with people. You will go and sit on your own, or go and visit a psychiatric or a counselor. But in my opinion, make all mistakes in the world. That's the best thing you can do in learning languages.
Thank you, Professor Al-Hamad. And I think we have another question from Anna also concerning the standard Arabic. So I've heard about the QALC initiative to set up an Arabic language efficiency examining center. Are there any news for those looking for getting an international level certificate as soon as possible? And the question from me as well. So what is probably the most prestigious Arabic assessment system, the assessment system of your Arabic skills?
Believe it or not, I'm sweating. I'm sweating now, not because of the lecture. I'm sweating because of heat in Qatar. Because I'm having a jacket and so on, and I'm looking to switch the AC on. However, nobody cares about me at home. Okay, back to our.
You can switch it on. So
well, I won't find the remote. So okay. Now, my comment on this. Actually, now, thank you first for Anna for that question, and for you, Artyom. My comment on that is that you are lucky now in Russia for having for having long history of teaching and learning Arabic at excellent universities, top universities. And the product of those universities is what we have interviewed yesterday and the day before, myself and my colleague, Dr. Ala. We were astonished and impressed. So thanks for the higher education system in Russia, which produced such excellent product. Okay, so what you have is good enough. However, there is another addition now that we have. That addition came with a different approach, which is the new Qatari Center of Arabic language in Moscow. And I believe that Marina is present here. She is the director of that center. That center is trying to propose different approach in learning language, communicative approach, mixed between communicative approach and grammatical and translational approach that we had in the Russian system, which works. But could we improve? Yes, there is always room for improvement. There is always room for improvement. So I believe that Qatar Language Center is a good addition. Now, internationally speaking, we have different frameworks. One of the neighboring frameworks is what we call CIFR, which is Common European Framework Reference for Languages, for learning languages in Europe, which excellent and good brains came together and put that document after piles and piles of studies and linguistic educational studies that they put together to have an excellent document in 2003 it was, 2003, which was, and they had the second edition 2018, which was amended edition. So this is an excellent framework. I believe in it more than the American Actful. Although the American Actful is an excellent form, yet personally speaking, I believe in the Common European Framework Reference for Languages. There is always room for improvement or marrying two or three different perspectives. But that's dangerous, very dangerous chemical reaction could happen. It should not happen. It should not be done by you guys. It should be done by linguists and educationists. I believe that there is always room for improvement.
Thank you, Professor Al-Hamad. And also we have a question from one of our participants. So, Anna is also asking, so are there any national acts aiming at protecting the Arabic language, and where to search for law base of the language protection policies? So if you could answer this question.
And you keep asking me, you want to put me in the corner, and this is, in my opinion, very politicized question, and I will tell you what. Simply, I can recall from my memory that in 2004, 2005, I was teaching in a grammar school in the UK, teaching Arabic. 1 year, 1 or 2 years after having the Common European Framework Reference for Languages, the European framework, the Chinese managed to have in Mandarin GCSE book. Yet Arabs, until now, we couldn't do that. Why? Well, if you have one father or one parent, you can that parent or that government, that entity will take care of that language, because it's because there will not be a lot of conflict on the nonsense political side of the argument. Most of the argument we have is politicized, and countries don't want to work amongst each other. Arabs are not one country. We have 22 countries, 22 fathers. Each one of them would love to claim the victory, and therefore none of them is victorious except me. My name is Mунтасера, which means victorious. So I'm happy that individuals like me, not necessarily me, they work sleeves up to have something like that. But this is not individuals' work. This is huge entities' work, huge entities, governments, or big institutions, and it should be consortiums, collaboration between different institutions. And unfortunately, we're not any way near that. Never. Am I honest enough on this, or should I be more? Yeah, I told you that I don't believe that. Yeah, so yeah.
I think your answer was quite clear, and Anna has listened to the answer. And we also have a question from one of our participants who would like to ask you about the language programs in Qatar for Arabic learners. So Farhad.
Yeah, we have now.
Yeah, so I think Farhad can ask more precisely, so what he wants to.
فرخد تفضل يا فرخد.
السلام عليكم يا سيد دكتور.
وعليكم السلام، أهلا وسهلا.
إن يمكنني أود أن ننتقل إلى العربية. أولا أود أن أهنئ أنت وكل الشعب دولة قطر بمناسبة يوم الوطن القادم. فإن قطر اليوم تحزن تقدما كل عام، وكما تحدثت سيتم كأس العالم لكرة القدم في عام 2020. فكذلك كما تحدثت حصلت قطر على حق استضافة دورة الألعاب الآسيوية. فمن طرفنا، من طرف الطلاب من جامعة مجيمو، نهنئكم بهذه المناسبة. لدي سؤال. أرغب في إجراء تدريب الصيفي في هذا الصيف في جامعة قطر، وأريد أن أسألك هل تدري إن كان هناك أي برنامج للطلاب من جيمو، خصوصا نظرا لهذه يعني لعنة فيروس كورونا في هذه السنة. شكرا جزيلا. أنا أدرس، بالنسبة لي أن أدرس في الصف الثالث في كلية العلاقات الدولية، فأدرس اللغة العربية كلغة الأولى. شكرا جزيلا. فكانت هذه المحاضرة ممتعة للغاية والله. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا فرخد. فرخد asked me, firstly, Farhad is a very polite, well-mannered person who congratulated Qatar for its National Day. Actually, I'm honored to be in Qatar. I'm not Qatari myself, but I'm not Qatari myself, but I love Qatar. I have different identities in me. So every country I visit leaves part of it in my heart, and I love Qatar because I've lived here for 8 years, and I love the culture, I love the people. It's a great country. And then he asked about the summer program at Qatar University. He mentioned that he is the third year Arabic student at your university. He mentioned that he enjoyed the talk as well. So I hope that you enjoyed it, all of you. Okay, commenting on the last on your question, your main question. Actually, Qatar University has an Arabic for non-native speakers program that became a center recently, and that center, it has 6 levels: elementary 1, elementary 2, intermediate 1, intermediate 2, advanced 1, advanced 2. Each one would be of 15 weeks intensive course of 500 hours each level, between the 4 skills of listening, speaking, writing, and reading. So a person who would normally students would come and stay here for 2 terms, i.e. for a full year, studying contact hours, studying some 1,000 hours of contact Arabic, which makes it very beneficial, especially that they live in an immersive environment where they could go and visit and experience the Arab culture firsthand. It's a great opportunity, and the university standards are very, very high. And the university, being a university in a well-off country, Qatar provides excellent conditions for living at the university. The dorms are 5-star. When I say 5-star, I mean 5-star. Actually, sometimes I feel that I would have wished to go and stay in the students' dorm for the summer holiday, because they're top. So in addition to that, but how could anyone join these courses? Now, recently we had a lot of extra students coming from different collaboration forms. Recently, Russia managed to increase the number of Russian students from 2 students to 7 students, in addition to other 2 students. So in total, we have about 10 students in our program, amongst many others. Russian-speaking countries, we have many different students from Russian-speaking countries, from all Soviet Union countries who left the Soviet Union, not the Soviet Union. Yeah, the Soviet Union. However, joining the courses, you could go and check the website to know the conditions on how to join the courses. There are some paying ways. I believe from your very beautiful language, Farhad, I would just fairly quickly, obviously, this is not official, so I'm not flattering you. You would be an advanced either B2 C1 student. B2 C1 student would benefit from the courses, say from 500 hours of C1 to challenge him or her. Summer courses, we don't have summer courses unless we have a full group of students coming from one university through a collaboration with the University of Qatar, which we don't have with Russia in the meantime. I hope that I have answered your question. Anyway, you could visit the website, and these days we still continue to admit students for next fall of 2021.
Thank you very much. You've covered all the points. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
And I think we have 2 last questions. So we have a question from the chat also concerning the language assessment, the language assessment of Arabic. So the question is in Arabic, so I'll read it in Arabic. هل يوجد اختبار معياري معتبر في اللغة مثل في اللغة الإنجليزية للغة العربية؟ وشكرا للأستاذ منتصر لهذه المحاضرة الرائعة.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you very much. Actually, the question is about standardized test, international standardized test of Arabic language, similar to IELTS or TOEFL. And thanks for thanking me for the lecture. I believe that it's part of my duty to be with groups like your group, and thanks for those who arranged and organized. And I keep thanking you guys, because you who make me prepare for this this work, and I feel extremely happy being amongst you. So thank you, You are the real guys. Okay, now about that, I was part of an initiative in Qatar. It was big initiative to start a standardized test, yet it stopped, unfortunately. Standardized test, we have one in Morocco, one in UAE. We're trying now at Qatar University, we're doing one, but none of these standardized tests is say pan-Arab or global one or internationalized. Simply, I would get back to Anna's question about the books and and having a framework for the Arabs, because we do not have one entity to cherish and deal with this. And we have a lot of fathers who would claim the fatherhood of that son if it would ever come to life. And it's not alive yet.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Hamad. And I think the last question will be from Balim. She would like to ask you a question in Arabic as well.
نعم السلام عليكم. الآن صوتي مسموع؟ نعم ألو.
نعم مسموع.
أوكي طيب. السلام عليكم يا أستاذ. أولا أنا أريد أن أشكركم على هذا العرض الجميل والقيم. والآن السؤال الأول، يعني عندي أصلا سؤالين. والسؤال الأول، هل هناك يعني منح دراسية للدراسات العليا بجامعة قطر أو بأي جامعة في قطر في دولة قطر يعني؟ وبعدين السؤال الثاني، أنا الحين يعني أدرس اللهجة الخليجية، وهل هناك يعني الكتب لتدريس هذه اللهجة بالضبط يعني؟ نعم شكرا لكم. نعم، وأيضا آسفة، وأيضا نريد أن أعرف هل هناك يعني أي كتب نحن نستفيد منها.
جميل. أسئلتك رائعة بالم، شكرا جزيلا لك. Balim has asked me about scholarships in Qatar, different scholarships, and she asked about the dialects because she does Gulf dialects as well. So if there are some books that could help in that, in learning the dialects of the Gulf dialects, right? So thank you, Balim, for your question. To start with the first one, Qatar tries, as we said, Qatar through the Qatar Vision 2030, it tries to become a knowledge-based economy, and through that it invests in its people and the people around the world to attract more and more brains to Qatar, and having these people there, they would contribute to the to enrich the culture, the academic culture of the country, and Qatar would love to have more and more people and input from people from all over the world, because they would come and bring their cultures and their perspectives to the academic institutions. When we talk about academic institutions in Qatar, there are many academic institutions that offer BA, MA, MSc, PhD, and many of these organizations and institutions, they offer grants. So you could go and check on that, because it's long story it's long story because I cannot keep mentioning different organizations, but there are different scholarships, and they would support people from all over the world. They're mainly for foreigners. Number two, so I could tell you about Doha Institute, Qatar Foundation, Hamad bin Khalifa, Qatar University. We recently have Lusail University, and many others. So you could go and check online, and I believe that all of you are good enough. You have good skills to to reach those websites and look into those websites in Arabic or in English. Now, your second question is about the different dialects of the Gulf and whether there are books. Yes and no. Yes and no. There is Jack Smart. Jack Smart had very nice book about Gulf Arabic. That's teaching book. Now studying the dialects is not the same as the books for teaching the dialects. So studying the dialects, there are many studies which are excellent studies, but those are linguistic, grammatical studies, lexicographic studies, lexical studies, etc. But these are too academic, so you won't benefit from them to learn. But Jack Smart had a book to teach Arabic. It's a self-study book. I remember my late father in 1977. He had a book about teaching colloquial Arabic of Kuwait accent. So that's my late father with another author. That was 1977, and it was for Kuwait Oil Company, KSC. However, unfortunately, this book is not existing because it was a dossier, and you'd have many good efforts by many different people who worked hard, yet they couldn't publish their work for a reason or another.
Dr. Al-Hamad, thank you so much for such a brilliant lecture. I know we have talked a lot about different aspects of learning Arabic, but we have one, I think, last question. So if you don't mind.
I don't mind. I
know we planned this lecture to.
No, I still have some coffee in my cup, so I could work until it finishes. It's like petrol for me. So okay. Once it runs off, I would stop.
Because we expected this event to last for 1 hour, but we're already speaking for 1 hour and a half, and Arabic is, of course, an endless topic to talk about. So Bella would like to ask a question. She says, I have worked with tourists from UAE, and I witnessed how their children teach English, but I think learn English, but not Arabic, and it surprised me very much. How do you think about it, and what way Arabic language will develop in the future, considering this fact?
Language is part of your identity. Language is part of who you are. So thank you very much, Bella, for this excellent question. Actually, I believe that you want me to shed light on this. It's not only that you're asking. So this is very important aspect of the language. Language is who you are. Language is your history. Language is your social fabric. Language is your culture. Language is everything in your life. So if you don't speak your language, you would lose very important component of your identity. And if you lose that, sorry, is it only because of how you would dress? No, it's not. It's not. And this trap. Many people fell into this trap simply because, as I have said, people started learning other languages because of the superiority of those languages, because they're linked to some cultures that are dominant in our world today. However, you should look into the legacy you would pass to your children. The legacy you would pass to your children is not to be, because your children could become polyglot children, multilingual. Why to limit their brains into only one language or two languages? Okay, if English is good, fine. Let them learn English. Yet Arabic is sacred for them. It's like Russian is sacred for a Russian person. Arabic is sacred for an Arab person. So every Arab should learn Arabic perfectly well. It's sacred. It's you. It's who you are. You cannot deny it. I cannot wake up one morning and say I'm Russian, because I'm not Russian. I could adopt Russian culture and adopt Russian language, but I cannot become full Russian. Not in my generation, probably in my grandchildren's generation, probably yes, but not in my generation, and not when I'm living in the Arab world. That's insane. That's not right. We should protect who we are. Arabic is who the Arabs are. Arabic is their culture, their history. Arabic is their food. Arabic is everything. Arabic is everything in their life. So including the way I keep giving gestures. So that's Arabic as well.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Dr. Al-Hamad, thank you so much for your lecture and for answering all the questions we had. We also have here one of your ex-students. So Rustam mentioned he was studying in Qatar with you. We're very happy that students keep connecting with their professors. And
this is for Rustam.
And hopefully we will have another opportunity to meet you at our platform so that Russian students can have more opportunities to learn Arabic and to learn more about Arabic and how to learn it properly and in the right way.
It would be my pleasure. And again, I enjoyed being with you. I hope that I didn't drive you bored. If not, then I have succeeded.
Really not.
So thank you very much for having me today, and I wish you all the best, bright future ahead of you. All of you are doing well, and if I can see a lot of interest these days, then this is good for the intercultural collaboration between the different cultures, which is great. This is one of our aims as human beings, to establish those bridges between ourselves. And I hope that every one of you would be an ambassador for her culture, Russian culture, regardless from which background in the Russian culture, to the Arab world, which would be great, because you will break a lot of stereotypes and you will create better understanding between these two great worlds.
Thank you for such warm words, and hopefully every one of us will become the ambassador of his or her language, and Russia and Qatar, Russia and Arab countries will have closer ties in future in the cultural field especially. So thank you everyone for participating in this event. We were really happy to see so many interested people today, and so many people who learn Arabic and want to learn more about it. So we expect you at our future events. And again, thank you so much, Dr. Al-Hamad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is for all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Hamad.
Thank you.
So goodbye everyone, and have a nice evening or day.
بكل توفيق يا أستاذ دكتور.
نعم، السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم.
مع السلامة. مع السلامة جميعا.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.